Do you know who paid for the refurbishment of the Prime Minister's flat?
The Prime Minister met the costs of the refurbishment of the flat, and that is very clear. He's acted completely in line with the rules.
When did he meet those costs, though? Because there are allegations that a donor paid a contractor directly and that the Boris Johnson paid him back, which would mean that in the interim he effectively had a loan.
As I've said, the Prime Minister met the costs of the flat refurbishment. Everything's been done in line with the rules. And I think
he's met them now. Sorry, he's met the costs now, but when did he meet the cost? That is key, isn't it? Because if somebody who shouldn't be.
Throughout this process, we and he have complied completely with the rules. And I think this is a huge distraction from what people actually care about, which is how we're dealing with the pandemic. We've just had the news that 50% of people in Britain have now been vaccinated. And of course, as Trade Secretary, I'm working on how we build our economy after COVID, in particular by striking new trade deals that are going to drive jobs and growth across the United Kingdom.
We will come on to all of those points, but really on the flat it is quite key, and a lot of people are very interested in it. Most people have to save up if they want to redecorate their flat. It appears here that either a donor paid a contractor directly or the Conservative Party paid a contractor directly. Which was it?
The Prime Minister's met the cost of the flat, and as with all of these matters...
But meeting the cost at a later date is
the proper
not...
information has been declared in the public domain.
But it hasn't been declared in the public domain.
As Trade Secretary, I'm spending my time focused on trade negotiations, not looking at flat refurbishments.
But it hasn't been declared at all. You know, we're expecting it to appear in the Register of Ministers' Interests, but the government hasn't published that. In fact, the Ministerial Code says it should be published twice yearly, but we only had one last year in July, and the Cabinet Office has yet to publish the latest instalment, which is due at the end of 2020. So it's actually not being declared, and it's only because Dominic Cummings made these allegations and because journalists have done some digging that it's now becoming clear that Boris Johnson didn't pay for the refurbishment out of his own pocket initially. Initially, he tried to get somebody else to pay it, and that is the concern, isn't it? Because if a donor is paying for the refurbishment of the flat, he is then has a loan from that donor, or if the Conservative Party is paying for it, that is against the rules. So it is key, isn't it, to find out when he paid it and to whom.
There was a statement made to Parliament at the end of last week explaining the situation. As I've said, the Prime Minister met the costs of the flat refurbishment. And, you know, this is obviously important that we declare costs in line with the rules, and that's what the Prime Minister has done. But fundamentally, what people care about is dealing with the COVID pandemic, and that is what the Prime Minister is spending his time doing.